All right, so here we are getting ready to start our SR familiarization. The last couple days I have been on a pilot workup. So basically what that is when an Air Force pilot is switching from one aircraft to another or is coming back from a period of not flying, they'll do what's called a workup. It usually starts with ground school, and then they will either, depending on the level of familiarity that they have with flying and how much they've been flying, they will either start with a training aircraft such as a T-38 or some other jet trainer. In my case, I used an F-5 because I have not been flying lately in jets at all. So I needed to get used to all the jet things, the speed, the just the jet. So I did 2 days of flying, totaling about 4 hours in an F5. And now I am ready to take the big, bold leap and get myself up and at 'em in the SR-71. Now, to get started with that, the first step of that was going through and actually reading the manual. So if you go to sr71.org, you can go ahead and flip on over actually to this. But yeah, if you go to sr71.org, you can actually read the SR-71 manual. A lot of it's been declassified. Most of it's there. It's missing pages, but most of the actual aircraft performance statistics, encoding overload. Okay. Oh, yeah, that went away. That's good. But most of the actual flight performance statistics are available online. The parts of the manual that have mostly been redacted is sensor stuff, mostly the RSO stuff, which is kind of counter to what most people think. You always hear when people talk about the SR-71, oh man, it's so fast that what it could really do is classified. In reality, almost all the performance, like everything that happens in the front seat with the pilot is available at sr71.org, the whole manual, right? The stuff that the guy in the back seat was doing with the radio antennas and collecting intelligence, that stuff is still classified to this day, and it's been redacted out, and it makes up the bulk of the material that's missing from the SR-71 manual. But going in now, I have a certain number of graphs and things that I have taken off. One of the main useful things is the descent table that tells me how far I'm going to have to fly to descend from cruising altitude. To climb's really easy. You basically just hold 450 knots estimated airspeed all the way up until you intercept your Mach number, and then you stop climbing. But to descend, it descends very slowly because there's actually a minimum temperature that you have to keep the engines at that's fairly close to mill power at altitude. So you don't really have the option of taking the throttles all the way back. So knowing that going in, I now know that about 200 nautical miles from 80,000 feet, roughly speaking, is where we're going to be at for descent. So the things that we have scheduled for today, it's going to be a takeoff and a climb to about 25-30,000 feet. We're going to do that at about 1/4-ish fuel to simulate what the SR would have actually flown with. They usually took off relatively lightly fueled. Pop up to 25,000, subsonic the whole way, and meet a tanker. Hit the tanker, and then we're going to climb to cruise once. Probably spend about 8 to 10 minutes turning around, and then do a descent. And depending on fuel state, I shouldn't have to hit the tanker a second time before I go down and try some landings. If I do have to hit the tanker a second time, I'll hit the tanker a second time, but we'll make a landing, get some fuel, take off again, hit the tanker again, and then probably land again. That'll probably be it. That's probably about an hour and a half of flying right there. I may only do the whole revolution once, just go up and hit the tanker and get to cruising altitude. I'm suspecting that the most difficult part today will be hitting the tanker. I was surprised yesterday at how difficult it was to keep the F5 on the boom. are in the basket. X-Plane's refueling isn't great because it doesn't model the actual interaction between the basket and the probe. Because normally, once you get the probe in, it's just hanging on a hose and it can kind of follow that probe around. Or if you're doing a boom refuel, the boom will come down, interface at the top of the aircraft, and then as the aircraft flies around, the boom can flex a little bit. An airplane or an X-plane, it's just fixed, and then it just checks to see if you're within a sphere, if your refueling door is within a sphere around that boom. And if you're in the sphere, you get fuel. If you're not, you don't. And that sphere is actually way tighter than it would actually be. So refueling an X-plane is really, really hard. And the other thing too is just air refueling in general. It's a completely different set of muscle memory. And I was surprised at how out of practice I was with it. I kind of thought it would come back to me a lot easier. It was not easy. And that was in an F5, which is, it has speed brakes. It has little itty bitty engines that ramp up and down really fast. It's a light maneuverable airplane. I was refueling off a Navy refueler, an old KA6, but the SR refueling off the KC-135 is or I think it's the KC-10 that I have set up for that is going to be a bear. It's going to be a bear. So without further ado, I do believe X-Plane should now be ready for me to go ahead and flip over. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and do this while I stare at my live chat window. Bloop, bloop. There we go. At least I'll know if something happens in live chat now. What am I getting a warning about? Bitrate warning. This is why we check. All right. Let's get into OBS and see if we can do anything about that. Jen? Jenna! Where you at? Oh, all right. So you're gonna go ahead, come here, X-plane, and transition. Whew. And this is the scary bit. Close the general aviation folder. We're gonna come here to. Oh, wait a minute. I hope this runway is long enough. I just realized I let someone fly in the simulator the other day. And do I use the stock Blackbird or the mod that I got? I'm going to use the mod. Because he was trying to get it to... I remember him saying he was trying to get it to perform closer to the established manuals, and I am going to be depending a lot on the idea that the established manuals are going to be working for this. My day has been very, very, very good. For the most part, very productive. Was studying at Asylum Lake today. It's a great way to do math, that's for sure. Yeah, yeah. The one lake that actually is connected to all that stuff smelled pretty bad today. Asylum Lake is connected to a natural stream though, because there's two lakes over there. One of them's connected to the drainage stuff, and Asylum drains into the drainage one, but it's got natural sources, which is why it's the pretty one with walking trails around it. What's up, Niles? Okay. Okay. This is different. This is not okay. Battery, avionics, bleed air, art stab. We're gonna want that all on. Inverters on. Generators on. Fuel select both. Fuel transfers off. Anti-ice is off. Fuel pumps are currently off. I got 2 fuel pressure warnings. Aircraft weight and fuel. Let's see. So what's my full fuel? 80,000 puts me 139 gross. Oh, 130,000 was the gross limit that I saw mentioned in the manual that I was reading today. So 70,000. So 1/4 fuel would be half of 35, 15, 25, 17, 5. There we go. That's 1/4 fuel. That should be enough to get me to the tanker. And thankfully it is daylight in Africa. That's good news. All right, without further ado, let's go. Start on 1. Got some RPMs. Fuel pump is on. And does the engine stay started? That'd be nice. It did. It did. All right, start on 2. And 1's already over 20%. Fuel pump on. Started. Good to know that I have some autopilots, which is good because I am supposed to operate the aircraft in its... Hey! What the hell? Well, there goes the refueler. I remember when X-Plane 10 came out and they first started bragging about the AI. Oh, so interesting. And then it goes back to the stock 3D cockpit when you go into 3D cockpit mode so that I can look around. That's good to know. Which actually, I'm going to go ahead and get into that. Let's see. Location, local map. 2992, wind 070 at 8. Go to high speed. 070's like here. Eesh. You know what? This runway right here. That's probably perfect. Over my right shoulder and down the way. Not much of a turn radius. I also just realized when I look back over my shoulder, I don't have my camera on the corner. There we go. Made it happen. Anyway. How far down am I supposed to go? I think I might have to take that taxiway. Because it looks like there's a fence over there. Jeez, this thing's powerful. It's not hit a deer. This airport was not... Yeah, most people don't realize how big the SR-71 was. But this airport was not designed with me in mind. Can I, if I get it all the way over, will I hit my wingtip? Yeah, I'm kind of worried about them. Hopefully they stay off the runway. There's barely enough room for me to edge by. Now I gotta figure out. Alright, let's slow down. Slow. Slow. Make this left turn. Can't. Oh, God. See, I had myself set up at Johannesburg, which is a nice, massive international airport. I totally forgot I had Garrett on the sim. And he flew somewhere else. Easy. Just broke the tires loose. Can you guys hear alright? Because I have it on a splitter. This is one of the neat things. We've got an audio splitter so I can hear it in my headphones and it can go to the speakers at the same time. If you guys want, you can turn that light on back there. We had to turn that one over there off because it's like right in the camera. Alright, so now at least I'm looking at a runway. Not even going to bother trying to get it on center line because I don't want to waste the runway length. Alright. First thing that's got to happen, my artificial stab is all on. Very important. Fuel transfer is off. CG reads within acceptable regions for subsonic flight. And with that, we are go. I'm going to go ahead and make this takeoff in the external view just because it's pretty. I've got speed readouts and everything that I need up in the upper left. And if I remember correctly, 220 knots is my rotation speed. Easy. All right. Now we're getting excess speed. I want 250 below 10,000, which we're already north of 10,000, which is great. There is one quick thing I need to change. Aircraft in situations, aircraft that refuel in the Air Force refuel, KC-10, refueler speed, indicated airspeed. I need like 370 if he can make it at 25,000. And I want him heading that way. All right. So, again, now I want about 350. And pitch to speed, 350. I got this big old gauge right here. I love this 2D cockpit. It's great, because now I can just look down here. Kaboom. This is my airplane. Windows are overrated. Alright. Whoa, okay. Had a very sudden G onset there when I touched my trim. I've got a feeling it's because X-Plane hadn't grabbed the position of the trim wheel. I'm going to give it just slight rudder trim, slight roll trim. Pitch down, down. Hey, actually, just got to look at the altimeter. And we blew our refueling altitude by actually a significant margin. Because this is 36,000 feet. This is already the altitude that an airliner would fly at. And it got there like it was absolutely nothing. So what I'm going to need to do now is I'm actually going to need to descend. And usually want to keep this airplane up north of 300 knots. And we're just going to get it back down to like 25,000-ish feet before I start looking for my tanker. And I'm not going to go ahead and actually do the tanker rejoin. I'm going to go ahead and have it snap me to the tanker because I really don't want to kind of take that kind of time. I've got guests over, and I'm hoping I can enjoy dinner if I can get this test flight done fast enough. $34,000. Oh, that's why. We're a little uncoordinated. Very sensitive rudder inputs. A little bit of trim. Oh man, it just really overreacts that trim. That's going to be difficult at altitude. Hopefully that gets better at supersonic speeds a little bit. Keep an eye on that altitude. You know what? I'm actually kind of impressed. For a really sleek, fast jet, this is actually descending pretty fast. Now I'm supposed to be maintaining 6,900 RPM. I don't even see an RPM gauge. It's just an RPM percentage. Yeah, that'd be great. Alright, so here we're 28,000 north of our speed. Blew that a little bit. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and call up the refueler. Air refuel, boom. Here we go. TCAS alert. Yeah, TCAS. No shit. Yeah, an X-plane really just kind of dropped me in there, huh? That was not nice. Alright, alright. No, this thing can accelerate like the dickens. I need to get below his wash here. Ah, there we go. Find that smooth air as we start making our approach. Now, the pilot's operating handbook said that this thing actually has relatively good deceleration authority and refueling. They also said I should start at about 2 to 3 degrees angle of attack at the beginning of the refueling operation, going up to 7 degrees angle of attack by the time I'm at a fuel load of fuel. Also, interesting note that I learned today is that actually you are supposed to, you'll get to the point where you're throttle limited, i.e. you won't be able to maintain formation with the tanker with mill power. And the actual procedure was to either toboggan, do a toboggan refuel, which is a lot of aircraft have to do that, where they can't maintain the slow speed angle of attack anymore. So what they do instead is they'll actually have the aerial refueler and them start to descend together. They're not even trying to maintain altitude, or light one afterburner, just one. And apparently the asymmetric thrust from that isn't that bad. But so far, personally, I feel like this aircraft is performing fantastically better to aerial refueled with than the F5. It's bigger, it's heavier, it's more stable. A little bit of a trim adjustment there just to center up the stick. And then it gets squirrely on me. The other thing pilot's manual said was that large stick movements were not necessary. They did mention the bad visibility. But it's not horrible. We want to end up with a probe like right behind the cockpit, I think. And this is another thing in DCS or another simulator. I'd have my lights, but I'm gonna need to shut up. I can't commentate and do this at once. Not getting fuel anywhere along that. I kind of thought I would. Oof, this is confusing. Alright. Let's see here. You can see where the refueling door is supposed to be. It's that red square. This thing is so... I literally was saying out loud, this thing is so docile. And then it just tries to murder me like that. That's why I call this thing Eleanor, man. Okay, so... this is going to be confusing, because I don't actually have depth perception, so... but I can kind of use where the boom intersects the 3D model to kind of figure it out. I'm on the edge of the buffet from his wings. There we go. Okay, so... come right, come right. No, we blew it. Ugh, I don't know why X-Plane's chugging all of a sudden. The frame rate's been fine this entire time, and all of a sudden it's mad. Oh, it's because it's loading in a forest fire. Okay, I can't do anything about that forest fire right now. I'm sorry. Forest fire. People that are affected by that. Man, I would do anything for just the guidance lights. Remarkably, this thing is very, very easy to fly behind the tanker. Actually, I'd say much easier than the F5. I started on hard mode doing my refuel familiarization with the F5. There we go. It should be somewhere around there. Yeah, no, I'm not getting any fuel from it, which makes me wonder if they put it in the wrong spot and it's on the pilot's FOV. In which case I can come back to here and just put the boom in my face, which would be a lot easier. Yeah, now I've got a fuel quantity light. No? I ain't getting squat like this. Sip, sip. Give me some gas. Alright. Well, that's just great. I've got an airport up ahead. Yeah, I might have to check the aircraft file and see. I can't make it 130 miles. There's apparently a couple airports off the nose somewhere, but I can deal with that later. So for now, I'm just going to go to other aircraft and I'm going to kill the tanker and just give myself some fuel. And I will have to look into that tomorrow and see if I can figure out how to get it to aerial refuel. But I know that I can aerial refuel. Alright, so this is fully loaded now. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn towards Johannesburg. I'm going to go ahead and make a 30-degree left turn. We're going to get the nose down a little bit because speed is dropping. And that is no bueno. Easy on the rudders there, kid. Still speed is dropping. I'm going to go ahead and just give it some throttle, actually, come to think of it. There's no reason to have the throttles that low right now. There we go. Where's my source switch for this? Source? Source! There we go. My climb rate's finally zeroing out. And I'm going to go ahead and reduce that nose up. And not let the climb rate climb so I can get some airspeed back. And we're just going to go on and keep it turning here. Well, that looked cool. Easy. I just realized. Where's my Mach number? Oh, there it is. Hey, speaking of Mach number, 0.8. That's great. That's fine. I don't want that Mach number to get crazy on me. Not until I get back on course. How far off course am I? Not far off course. So, probably what I'm going to do, actually, since I can see it on that, get the nose down. Thank you. And let's climb to cruise. Okay, so climb to cruise procedure. So we're gonna get ourselves set up nice and level. Nice, level, straight. Full burn. And we keep it descending. You want a couple thousand feet per minute of descent just to get us through the transonic region. And once we get to Mach 1.2, we'll hold a constant knots estimated airspeed climb of 450, which do those two match? They seem to. But this is actually a slightly better cockpit for what we're doing. Oh, there's my vertical speed. There we go, Mach 1.0, 1.02, 03. And we just gotta keep it descending here. Until we hit 450 knots estimated airspeed, and then we hold 450 knots up. And that's how she goes. With 30... I actually think I was supposed to do this at 35,000, not 25,000, now that I think about it. But that's fine. I don't care. Alright. There we go. There's 450. We're going to go ahead and give it some angle of attack here. Gently. Give it some climb. There we go. We're holding 450. Let's see what we can do with the autopilot. So, where is my flight director? Flight director! Oh, I don't like that. I don't like not having a flight director switch. Because then that makes me worry that if I... Oh, that's freaking useful. But that makes me worry that if I turn the autopilot on, I might not be able to turn it off. We'll just fly it by hand. We're flying today. I need that estimated airspeed, and I don't know why in the tape, whoever made this cockpit didn't put the estimated airspeed on there. We're at 458. We don't want that. There we go. There we go. We're going to have to start trying to fly it with the trims. There we go. This is how it goes. About 2,000 feet per minute, really? I expected a lot more. But we're only at 28,000 feet. I don't know. Where are we at here? We're going to be at FAOR not too long. I might just go ahead and shoot a landing because I want to eat. The question is, am I getting the published... No, that's 460. See? 30,000. Mach 1.27. The engines are going to start getting happy somewhere around Mach 1.5. We should see our ascent rate start to really pick up. Trim change. Trim changes are really just smacking the ship around. That is not... The pilot's manual said it had a very docile and slow response to some trim change. So that's not accurate. We're already going faster, though. And we were not in full burner. Now we're in full burner. And holy crap, look at that climb performance now. That was the problem. I was wondering. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take these down and then take this up, because these throttles, they're not in good health. And so when they're at their max detents, they kind of tend to move around a little bit. Alright, so we're going to level off here for a second. Get ourselves back up to 450 estimated. There we go. Get the nose back up. Trim. The way the speed reacts to the stick is just so satisfying. I mean, it makes sense though. The ship's 100 feet long. And that is just all I'm looking at. I am just staring at this number right here. And just keeping that, trying to keep that at 450. I'll put that right next to it. As we go through 40,000 feet. This is the very top level area of jets, like private jets, modern jetliners like the 787, 777. This is like their max altitude pretty much. Or max cruise altitude, I should say. Rolling through Mach 1.7. Let's check our CG. CG is a little bit outside supersonic limits. So, I might have to transfer some fuel here in a minute. Say 439? That's not good. 1.8. $25 miles to Johannesburg. The sim's probably going to take a crap when I get over Johannesburg. Just because it has to load that city. Whoa! I could have sworn there was a CG gauge in the 3D cock. There it is. Level flight again. Mach 2.04. There's 450. We're climbing again to hold. As we go through approach 52,000 feet. Do we got an outside air temperature gauge? I'm going to need one. Yes. Yes, we do. That's good. That's good. Glad to see that. That's weird because I'll get to the point where the stick is forward, and then when I put in a little bit of trim to center the stick, it's such a big adjustment that I have to adjust all the way to stick back, and I'm constantly bouncing between having the stick forward and having it back. That's not how that's supposed to be. I am just eyeballs glued on that airspeed. So we go through Mach 2.2. Two 2.3. Angle of attack is getting up there too. Keep an eye on that. Man, now it's really settling down. 1,400 knots airspeed. 1,665 miles per hour through the air. 1,660 miles an hour on the ground. Light winds. 60,000 feet. Can start to see the stars a little bit. Can start to see the curvature of the Earth. We are up there. And we are still one full Mach number below our optimum cruising speed. Well, half a Mach number actually. Got the nose a little too far up there, reducing the angle of attack. And we're going to level out, get back to 450 knots. We got down to 430. Oh. Simulator chug. Another news, I have to pee. That sucks. Sucks to be me. That was 430. 440. That's 450. We can restart our climb. Looks like it's going to want to stay at about 2,000 feet per minute. Eyes now bouncing between the estimated airspeed and our climb rate. A little bit of trim. Yay, Jesus! Mach 2.8 now. Now I'm going to see if I can get some food in. It's a pretty docile airplane now. Figures that if there's any airplane that I try and eat a taco while flying, it's the one that always murders me. There we go. Hey, John, I just flipped over to chat. And sorry I'm not seeing this till now, but to answer your question, as fuel burns, CG moves aft, and you have to manually transfer fuel into the forward tank. So there's 6 tanks in the SR-71. There's 2 forward, and then basically this aft section here is subdivided into 4 more. And so as these main tanks back here, well, actually it burns from front to back, and you have to shift fuel back forward to maintain the CG. It is very specifically mentioned in a lot of the manual. And no, I'm sure those nitrogen-fueled tires did not like the dirt. Alright, so that's Mach 3.07. And cruising speed is Mach 3.2. That's all. No, I'm at my cruising altitude as well. We just stop climbing wherever we hit that. 67,000 feet. I'm guessing 3.1 or 3.2 is probably going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 71 or 72. So let's see what Mach 3 looks like. Well, first off, this is what 70,000 feet looks like. Stars are clearly visible now. Yeah, curvature of the horizon still a little hard to see, but this is what Mach 3 looks like from a standing point. All right. Ugh. We're at like 500 feet a minute. And we're doing Mach 3.1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to revisit this video. And I'm going to check and see if that was correct. But now we're going to go ahead. This is the dangerous part. 30 degrees right. Don't let it nose up like that. I gotta keep it level, level. Where's my level? There we go. It's really weird because there's a delay between when you move the nose and something happens. We are getting a very, very slow turn. turning. Barely. And the other piece of important flight data that's going to come from this, I have all the turn performance charts. But I need to check and make sure that this turn here, that X-plane's simulating, matches what's on those charts, because I need to use those to flight plan. And if they don't match, it's going to be kind of a problem. Granted, if they're close but don't quite match, that just means that I'm not flying the ship right. It's weird though. Now it's happier and more stable in a turn than it was when I was flying straight. It's a lot happier in a turn, which is interesting. I think the charts called for an 8-minute, something like that, turn here. As we are now halfway through. And also we are 437 miles from Johannesburg. But that's not going to be a long flight. Just got to keep this turn going. And I am moving the horizon. I'm back to flying a Cessna here. For going all these gauges and for pitch information, I'm using the horizon up on the bulwarks up here. I'm able to get pretty precise with that. As far as just keeping this in this nice level turn. We're almost turned around now. Has it changed our ETA? No, it's calculated. It must be calculated ETA with our speed and assuming that we're going straight at it. There we go. Almost there. I cannot wait, because shortly after we straighten out, I'm gonna have to look at our descent tables to figure out how far away I need to start the descent. And then I can shoot a landing, and then I'm done for the day. And that's the end of a very long, very productive day. I've been doing homework and studying since like 10 in the morning. This is one of those things that had to get done. Almost there. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to init the GPS, reset it, and reset FAA. What was that? Hey, everything was copacetic, and then it wasn't. What the hell's up with that? Got us below Mach 3. 2,000 foot per minute climb rate. Null that out. Null it out. Easy. I think that was a real weather update. Just downloaded the latest weather. And it changed the atmosphere slightly, which at these speeds and altitudes is dramatic. Okay, well, we're back above Mach 3. Alrighty then. Alright, so what we're going to have to do is come down here. And when we get to that heading, I'm gonna go past it on the right just a little bit. I'm looking at this now. Thing is, this was set up. This is still trying to keep me on the line from the airport we started at to Johannesburg, and that line segment is of completely, absolutely no fracking use to me. I'm going to think that this is normally a VOR. So it shows me where the VOR station is. Because of the fact that I have it in source mode, oh, no, there is a DME station that's coming up. Okay, so we're going to clear airport FAOR. And just like that, we got a new GPS line. We are coming on to. Keep the turn, keep the turn, keep the turn. Keep it coming. 30 degrees. Alright, that's good enough for now. So, that's how long it takes to turn 180 degrees in an SR-71. I'm actually... just barely going to take down the afterburners just a little bit. So now, we've got to come here. Descent distance table. Not in my face. 3.1. What's our altitude right now? 65,000? Shit, doesn't even list it on this table. We're supposed to be cruising to like Mach 1 point whatever. Well, what I'd have to say from the trend of these numbers is probably 200 miles. So when we're 200 miles, we're going to have to take it down the mill power. And that's going to be in just literally a couple minutes here. Wow, that is cool to watch that mile counter tick down like that. There's not many airplanes that give you that kind of performance. I'm also going to have to make sure not to overspeed the aircraft. We're already doing Mach 3.1 just from having the nose down for a few seconds. Next question. Does Johannesburg have ILS? I think it does on some runways, because I'm probably going to want that. I like our G unit meters reading negative G's right now. That's great. Up here. We're weightless. We're in fracking orbit, yo. Alright, I'm going to need to come left a little bit. Very light touch in the rudder. Just a feather touch of rudder. I don't even need 30 degrees. Probably 15 degrees of turn was more than enough for that. Slow. Everything's just got to be so slow and careful. Balancing against the fugoid mode of the aircraft. Mach 3.15. I'm going to have to turn the burners off at Mach 3.2. That's the design limit of the aircraft. And we're probably exceeding our maximum skin temperatures because we're only at 65,000. What is our 495? Just for shits and giggles. Easy, easy. Get ourselves back down to 450 and see. It doesn't really get us that much altitude, really. I'm kind of surprised it's not getting us more. Easy, easy. Alright, there we go. Gets us back. We're off course left. Where are we at? 230 miles. So we're going to start our descent momentarily. We're in 15 miles. We're in 10 miles. I think this plane does something like 1 mile a second or something like that. Let's see, 1,000. Yeah, most of a mile a second. Alright. That's it, 200 miles. So now what we do is we take the ship out of burner. Did not like that did not like that very much at all. Alright, and we're just gonna bring it back here. We're supposed to have a engine temperature that we're looking for. I gotta find the gauge. Not gonna lie, man. Not seeing the gauge that I read about in the manual. So that's nice. We're gonna go ahead and assume that just slightly below mil power is where we need to be. And then we're gonna nose forward and hold 450 on the way down. Very carefully nose forward. We already almost exceeded structural G. Alright. Let's get it back to 450. And we hold this down and we should be on the ground probably in less than 20 minutes. It starts out slow. We are in very, very, very thin air here up at, what are we at? 67,000. That's not bad. That's not bad. Hey, whoa. I'm gonna take some more throttle out. No. No. There we go. This is saying that we're going to be there in 4 minutes. And I'm trying to figure out how exactly I'm going to not overrun the airport here. Let's see what's going on back over here. Thanks for the public service announcement, Jen. Get ourselves back to 450. Easy on the coordination. Yeah, easy on the G loading. There we go. $58,000. 80 miles. Left for correction. Speed. Slight skid. Correct that. Starting to really lose airspeed here. Already down to Mach 2.3. As we're now below 60,000. You out of here? Thanks for coming over, dude. Sorry, Alright, coming back to the stream. I don't know what's going on with the stream health. Is suddenly not great. Let's check on what's going on with OBS. It's still saying it's putting 4,000. So I don't know what's going on with that. Oop, and I just noticed the wind noise get very low. Yeah, man. Which means that my airspeed is probably decayed. We are probably subsonic at this point in time. We are indeed, as of now, subsonic, which means I can start a 30-degree left turn and start setting up the approach to the airport. And we're just going to go ahead and shoot for 325 knots. And the next question is, quick, what are the winds? I think it was 070 to start with. So that'd be here. So that's right to left now. And let's go ahead and zoom this in. Right to left, so this would be a tailwind. So we're going to go ahead and try and get into our downwind here. Is that it there? No. It's on our left quarter. Right about now. There it is. Trying to remember approach speeds. Do not remember approach speeds. We'll have to eyeball it. Now, shooting for the left runway, actually. Do I have ILS for either of those? Need to see fixes. Or nav aids. Zero 10, so yeah, 03. If I want 03 right, it's going to be 10910. Zero. Come down here, put our source, nav1. Put our OBS on 030, and that's our runway. And now I should have full up ILS support for this landing, which will be a nice change. 300 feet per mile. 2,000 feet. Gives me 8 miles or so. So if I want a 3-mile final, I need like 1,200 feet in the radio altimeter. Now we're back on the throttles. And I have to pee so bad, it physically hurts. Okay. Really want to know why this isn't working. Maybe I should have taken the left. 03 right looks a little short now that I'm looking at it, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Hello, Johannesburg. It's good to see you. I'm going to go ahead and set my audible warning to just a couple 100 feet above where I want to end up, just in case I'm not paying attention to it. But I can just keep descending here. It is crazy how fast this thing is moving right now. Just come through 9,000 feet. I don't know what elevation the airport's at, actually. That'd be a good question to know. 558. So we've got some time. So the terrain is coming up to meet us a little bit here. That's something to keep an eye on. And our localizer just snapped in. As we close in on 7,500-ish, we should start getting a return from the radio here. All right, we're below the glide slope, so I'm going to go ahead and call it there, actually. Actually, no, we'll call it at 2,000 feet. AGL. All right, so there's 2,000 AGL. Oh, the rated tire speed here is 300. I'm gonna go ahead and start my 30-degree left turn. Easy. Landing gear coming down. $240 sounds just about right. I'll go 2 past 30, watching that angle of attack gauge. It's a nice procedure turn. Glide slope guidance localizer's coming in. We're probably going to blow it a little bit, but that's fine. We got more than enough room to correct. We'll just keep it coming. Go past a little bit, and then we can come right, intercept the localizer, and hopefully we can get that done before we hit the glide slope. I'm going to check one more time. Gear is down. I have no visual on the airport whatsoever. But that's fine. Because that's what instruments are for. Alright, coming right for lineup. It's 240. We're going to go ahead and take it down to 230. And there it is. I think our final approach threshold speed is actually supposed to be 220. Or somewhere thereabouts. Glide slopes live. Let's look lively. Alright. Alright. We're visual. Slight crosswind. Yeep. Not my favorite landing ever, but it was a landing. Whoo-wee! We made it. We got up to cruising altitude. We came back from cruising altitude. Yeah. Yep. Wow. I feel drained. That was all hand flown. There was no electronic assistance for any of that. My shoulder is sore. I kind of wish the camera was getting me. I'm rubbing my shoulder right now. But Whew. Whoo-wee. What a flight. Like, that was fun. So, now I know some things. Important things to know is that the descent profiles that were listed in the flight manual, I didn't quite get those. I'm going to have to be more aggressive with the throttle downs than what historically was called for. So that's a very important thing that I'm glad that I knew now. I'll have to check the footage and watch the footage back and see the turn rates, turn radiuses, and things like that to see if the turn things that I can plan for from the SR71 manual are accurate to this model. But if they're not, I can always eyeball it. Considering the fact that the flight that I'm planning is a cross-continental Africa flight, you know, the main thing is to know that it actually only took, what, 10 minutes to come down from cruising altitude to a relatively low altitude. So that means that I can wait pretty long to try and hit the tanker. I will have to see what's up with the aerial refueler and also what's up with my webcam, why that's not working right. But, man, does it feel good after all these years to finally have a flight in the SR-71 that went, well, I didn't die in the end. So that's good. So, for anyone who tuned in or takes the time to watch this, thank you very much for watching me practice. And I hope people can tune in for the actual live stream tomorrow. And with that, good night.